First, my name is Kenneth Bird. My company is Black Series Edition LLC. People asking us about what is a black versus black demonstration, because we have a lot of these loaded up on our website. So, a black versus black is basically where we test our products against fabrics, other forms of paints, just about everything you could possibly think of to make sure that our screen paint is pulling up a very decent white level, which is extremely important because, as I showed you before, when making a black screen paint product that is untested, doesn't have our 4 elements that makes our product to begin with, the results is going to be, you're going to end up with a product that cannot pull white light, and the image is going to become extremely dark. Now, we have these demonstrations dating all the way back from 7s. Right now we make 48s. So that's how long our tests, we've been doing these tests. Just about pretty much anything you could possibly name of, we've thrown against our screens. This is an extremely important test. Number one, to the person who's developing the screen paints, because it gives them an idea of where the white levels are laying in the screen and how they have to improve the product. Most of all, it's important because, again, for the consumer, it makes sure that he or she is getting an actual screen paint and not something that can be easily matched by a tablecloth or just everyday household paint. That paint right there is a little different. We actually made this in a demonstration to prove even more that our products don't match black paint. That one's a little different than black paint. That has a very high grade fluorescent kind of extra fine glitter in it to give it the ability to somewhat, I don't know, some people would think it would help it produce white light, but it doesn't. It just basically doesn't. So it just shows that, number one, the product can't be made or duplicated or copycat because we're the only ones with the product. But it also shows in the day that, again, we can take fabric or basically black paint. Now I can't say this enough. We can do a black screen on a standalone, which I did. I took a screen off, showed it close up on the projector. It's going to look good, but the minute you put it against our technology, it looks awful. Because again, there's a difference between our product and that, and our product makes that look awful. All right, so let me see if I, whoops, knock over my stand first things first, but also too, lose my fire stick in the process. Now the screen paint you're seeing up here, the big wall that's coated in, we're using our Black Series Limited Edition technology. And as I said before, these are tests that you need and should be seeing off other products. You should be seeing gray versus gray. I'm not saying be black versus black because our screens are black. But anyone else, you should be seeing these tests, gray versus gray. What is the difference between an everyday gray screen paint and an everyday product gray paint that you can pick up at Home Depot, Lowe's, Sherwin-Williams, Benjamin Moore? If you're not seeing these tests, you're not 100% sure that you're getting a product that actually reacts the way it's supposed to react. Because at the end of the day, like I said, you could very well end up getting like a regular can of paint that you're paying all this money for. So that's why these tests are very important. It backs the product up. It shows it doesn't match any other surface. Hold on for a minute. Red screen. It doesn't match any other black surface, so the screen can't be duplicated. It does show a difference, which you want to see. You definitely want to see a difference between night and day. That's very important. Don't want to see anything blending in or any of that nonsense, because again, too close of a match means you can do it yourself. That's why the black on black demonstrations are important. We show these to customers. This is all our test demonstrations, are displayed directly to the website, which means you will go to our website, you will see a ton of these demonstrations back in our products. Other sites, again, for the ones I've seen so far, nothing. Because again, if they can't do the demonstration, they can't back the product. Blue screen. This is why we advise for customers, first things first, you need to request and ask if the product has been tested. You want to see test demonstrations before the product was launched. Very important. That shows that your product has been tested properly. You want to see not just test demonstration, a little bit of color splash across the screen. You want to see long distance throw at 1,000 lumens. Whatever they're claiming the minimum lumen count is, there should be at least about 20 or 30 demonstrations on that projector alone. There should be tons of demonstrations on it. and fully lit environments, contrast levels, white levels, color levels, everything. Another one is basically making sure the screen doesn't hotspot. That's why we have these little high-end projectors to make sure we have no hotspot issues where the screen's going to basically have glares are going to pop up. That's another problem. Heighteners can do that because, again, it's a technology we put into it that allows the screen to generate white light. One for a minute. Yellow screen. If you want to basically claim the worth of your product by saying your product is worth a certain amount of money or just to have those bragging rights, you're going to have to be to knock out gunmetal technology. You have to be to do that. That's very important. Because again, there's plenty of people on the forum sites who have deep pockets that can afford these expensive screens, and you have to be to convince them why your screen paint is better than their physical projection screen. We can literally turn a gunmetal screen almost into a white sheet of paper. What else? The other test you have to have. Distance throw. I can't explain this enough. I see a lot of people doing demonstrations on ultra short throw projectors. This is a cheap projector because, again, there's no distance throw. And again, with that being said, the fact that they have to darken the environment on a projector such like that that's sitting right on top of the screen, that's a major red flag, extremely red flag. So that's never good either. So there's all different forms of tests that have to be done. If you're claiming your product is weatherproof, guess where you're going? You're going to be outside. And the same amount of tests you'll be doing inside, you'll definitely be doing outside. So that's also too, that's something that come up. And I see this a lot, skipping the contrast levels. I don't get that at the end of the day. You have to show the contrast, especially in a fully lit environment. You literally have to do this because unless you're expecting the customer to be in the exact same environment you're going to be at, then that's what's going to happen. Where are we going to go next? Oh, green screen. Now you see I can come on camera. I can do this very easy. I can do this every single day with no problem. We did the paint a couple of days ago. I brought in the fabric too on this one. I can do this easily because I've done this so many times. If you go to our marketplace, you look below there, there is just rows and rows and rows of demonstrations on everything you could possibly think of when it comes to black versus black. Yellow screen. Did we do yellow already? I'm pretty sure we did not. I do want to do sky blue. We got a bunch in here too. We got some orange. There we go. Now, as for trying to make a black screen paint product, like I told you, I called it from the door. We're not going to mention the fellow because we don't want to talk about this joke anymore. But making a black screen paint with gray and white, extremely bad idea. You throw off the off balance of black, you will come out gray. No matter what you put in there, you will always come out gray. No matter what shade of gray, whatever color white, you will always come out gray, no matter what. If you decide that you're going to go in and maybe just put in a little bit of this paint, then the majority of your paint is black, and then you end up in this category where you can't see white light. I can't express this enough, but black paint, black fabric, vinyl, film, mesh, this is all the stuff we tested, does not have the ability to receive and understand white light. It won't pick it up. There has to be something in there to make the product receive it. And the sad thing about it is you have some people who basically are so baffled by this that they want to name our technology gunmetal. Well, it's gunmetal. It ain't going to be to do a black versus black. That's not going to happen. It won't pass a pour out demonstration. That'll never happen. I got a couple containers going out today for customers. And, oh, I'm going to grab one. Inside the little hut. This is going out today to a customer. This is black. Anytime we pop a top and show you it, it's black. But you got people out there, I understand, it baffles them. I was in the same situation. It baffled me the first time I saw diamond technology. I'm like, how the freak are they doing that? Like, how's that possible? You can't get white like that. But it has to be something in it to get to do it. But putting in white and gray is not going to help at all, period. So you have to literally figure out how to get a black surface to receive white light It has to be able to pull higher than any black surface that you put against the screen. It cannot match, cannot come up and show a slack. That's not going to happen. It doesn't work that way. And you can't add any white or you can't add any form of silver into it because you would change the balance of black. Yep, like I said, 8 years. And you're seeing people, perfect example. We're not going to mention who, we already know. You're seeing people come up and try to do it and fail miserably. We literally had to make it for them. So we can show that, look, this is black. This is how the rollers are supposed to come up. They come up black. This is black right there. That's the one we made right there. And still failed. It's sitting right there. That's when it failed. Let's do some light colors. We got a light green here. But our black versus black demonstrations, these are for, so that way, not only for us, it allows us to see where our white levels are at when we're making our technology, but also too, it actually helps the customer out because again, we get this all the time. We go to form sites, the first thing we get asked, I can do the same thing with black paint. I can do the same thing with black fabric. We get it all the time. So you have to be to back that up. Can't run from those demonstrations. And I sat there and said, yes, black comes in all different shades. It does. It comes in multiple shades. I told you that a long time ago. You go to Home Depot, you can't walk in there and say, hey, can we get a can of black paint? They're going to ask you, what shade do you want? That's what they're going to ask for. But it's all black at the end of the day. None of it's gray. None of it's gunmetal. It's all black. So I came up here yesterday. I did another surface. We had one with a different shade of black. It was a lighter. It all matches the same. Okay, let me see what we're going to go here. Oh, we got some pink here too. There we go. All right, let's get some white levels. 4K snow screensaver. Yep, let's try her again. 4K snow screensavers. She denied it the first time. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm happy he did the demonstrations. I really am. You know why I'm happy? Because we knew he wasn't going to match it. The minute, basically, that I saw the ingredients on the table, I already knew you messed up. I knew it automatically from the door that he already messed up. It's just not made that way. It won't work. It'll turn gray on you. So we're glad that he made it. Because, again, try to make it. Because, again, it shows exactly how difficult our product is. You know, telling people were, well, that particular individual was telling people in the day that we were scammers and that our products could easily be made. And no, as you can see, it's not easy to be made. And there is a science behind it. Also, too, a blessing. Definitely a blessing. So you can see it's not that easy to be made. And I'm glad he tried to make the attempt. So for those of you wondering what I'm talking about, I'm not going to mention the fellow's name, but there was a fellow who came on here who basically tried to make the product and he failed in 2 attempts to do it. We came in and just did it for him, just made a black version of it. But that shows at the end of the day that anyone who wants to run their mouth and say that, hey, we can make it. No, you can't make it. And still, if you're making, again, I can't express this enough. First, you got to get to the color black first. At least make it black. And then once you get to that stage, you still have tests you got to pass. What's the difference between that product and black paint? Now, if we did this side by side with the gray mixtures that were made, they wouldn't have been able to match any contrast levels. Matter of fact, that surface right there, the fabric, would have been able to overpower that with no problem because it's actually black. This is the product we made that was black. And as you can see, it's doing the same thing that the curtain does. Now, in some of our demonstrations, in some of our products, we used to give out a free blackout cloth. It was actually black. And we did a demonstration a while back, basically showing customers that the black blackout cloth that we gave you, this is done years ago, of why it doesn't match. We had to do those demonstrations. Anytime we give out a black surface, anything, we have to do those tests. So we've been there, we've done it already. Coming back and repeating it again. Just to show you. But this is why the black or black test. Number one, why the black and black tests are done. Because again, you have to be able to back up to the customer that your product does something different than the everyday product that he or she can purchase from any form of hardware store. This is extremely important. This is a test that cannot be skipped. This is why if you buy any, for us, if you buy black paint or black ambient light rejection screen paint, if you're buying any from of gray products at the end of the day, and if it's white at the day, request a test. Say, hey, look, before I buy your product, can I see a demonstration, gray versus gray? Do you have these on your website for me to see? It's important. It's very important because, again, you could end up getting a product that you literally could have saved a lot of money, could have done it yourself at the end of the day. That's why these tests need to be done. There are people out there who make products like this, well, not like this, but they make products and they don't want customers asking those questions, but it needs to be answered. What is the difference between that product and gray paint? Those who make in black paint, what is the difference between your product and black paint? Now, again, those of you who thought at the end of the day that our product can be made with black paint or fabric, yeah, these are your results next to our technology and next to our customers' technology. No, it does not work the same. Those who came in and say, hey, can I use a black bed sheet? No, you can't. This is why. Your white levels can't pull because these surfaces are not designed to pull white light. It's a surface that's designed for a curtain and black paint. That's it. There's no difference in it. This is why I said we request these tests from all screen paints. It should be done. And if anyone wants to argue with me at the end of the day and say it's wrong and we shouldn't have to do this, then you shouldn't be selling screen paint products. Very important test. I've never seen a gray versus gray. If I look up a gray versus gray, we usually find other people at the end of the day that are doing a gray screen versus a white screen or something like that, but we don't see any gray paints versus gray screens. We did see, there was a fellow who did 2 of them, but they ended up matching in the demonstrations and the videos were removed off his account. He removed the videos, he got rid of them. So he did match. And that's another reason why, all the more, why these tests need to be requested and need to be posted to the website. A lot of phone calls I have to make today, a lot of phone calls. So I had somebody come into my YouTube channel and say, how come I can't use a bed sheet? We have it right there on the website, right there. And we had, this is a high material. These are used for blackout curtains for movie theaters. This is actually the curtains I had in my dedicated theater when I was building it. That's the reason why you can't use it. It doesn't see white light. Now, for some people that may be upset with this, and you're going to be plenty upset, I will keep pushing to make sure that customers know what they need to know at the end of the day, that they need to request this test. It's extremely important. You do not want to show up at your front door that you just paid $95, $100, $200, whatever it may be, for a can of paint that you literally could have went down to a hardware store and you could have did it yourself. Matter of fact, I got several forms of black paint coming in. I put some orders in yesterday. Yesterday I was doing a little shopping. Yeah, we ordered some more products. I want to expand my list at the bottom. I want at least about 50 videos at the bottom showing we can back that product up. No one's going to sign you to a contract. No one's going to do business with you unless you can do this test. It's extremely important. What's the point of basically signing a contract for somebody for 2 years and then find out somebody can just mimic the exact same thing going to Home Depot and Lowe's? How much money the company will lose at the end of the day? That's going to be pretty messed up. That's why they want to know your stuff is tested. Now, not all customers should know that, because any customer has to take $1, $2, whatever it may be, out of his or her pocket, should be getting a tested product. And this is why this test is very important. Now, again, you guys can go in and say, oh, it's got to be ISO. You can run that all day long. Really don't care at the end of the day. You still got to do the test. Don't make a difference. You can sit there and say, I got special camera capabilities and whatever. Doesn't make a difference. You still got to do the test. You're avoiding this. This should have been done. None of your products should have ever been sold, should have never hit the market. No money should have ever exchanged hands until that test was completed. And someone, as we said, we're not going to mention name, you know who, matched the product, which means any customer who bought that product before that test was done basically got cheated badly. What about them? So that's why they need to be done. Now, we don't have to do any more tests on Black vs. Black. We've done them to death. We're just doing these for fun. So I thought it'd be nice to come out here and do the paint we just designed and the professional fabric. And as you can see, they both do the same thing. Let's do something else here. Skyworth food demonstration. Let's do the long one. It'll do both at the same time.
We're here to help families with questions about senior living and help caregivers who need advice and help seniors live their best life. Visit our website resource center for free advice on everything from finances to home repair. Country Methods, here to help.
I said the other fellow right now is going to be launching new screen paint product, I think the PSP, whatever stuff it's called. There's no test underneath of it. We can't, there's no test, period. Go look for it. He can't launch that product without tests. And he should be, I wouldn't even do it. I would never launch a product without tests, because you run the risk of somebody taking your product and doing do, and then you're in trouble. You're in a lot of trouble. That's why I think they should pass laws, restrictions for all screen paints that must require testing before they can be able to have the ability to be sold. If not, you're looking at a nightmare coming up. Just like I told you about the projectors, I told you you're going to see more and more of these knockoff machines popping up, have their own screens connected to them. And a lot of these screens can easily match a white screen or your gray walls at the end of the day. And people are paying a lot of money for this and finding out later on. See a lot of these crackerjack projectors. Well, guess what? Screen paint's going to be following right along with it. All kinds of fake stuff in the specifications that don't add up. Can't put that stuff in there without testing it. Because that means people can start saying anything they want. I literally just read in one specification, clearly said that the screen's gain changes by the technique on how you paint the screen. I have never ever heard of anything like that before. If I paint this screen right here a certain way, the gain increases? That's crazy. That's bullcrap. That's not true. You have to show that. You can do that. That's like I said, me coming before a bunch of men and say, hey, gentlemen, today I learned how to turn a pickle into solid gold. There's no one going to believe that. Even if I said it on camera right now, nobody will believe that. I have to back that up and prove it. Let me see your work. Let me see basically your studies. Now I got people coming through today to look at this technology, and it comes up quite a lot. Well, I can do the same thing with the curtain. I can do the same thing with a bed sheet. I can do the same thing with black paint. Why would I pay that kind of money at the end of the day? There you go. I gotta get some mesh. I don't need mesh here. For those of you that feel that if you turn the lights out, maybe that'll help. But if you turn the lights out, then the technology is no longer ambient light rejection. You got to do it with lights on and off. It doesn't make a difference. So we have to run these tests on ultra short throw. We have to test them at 1,000 lumens. All those tests have to be done. As a matter of fact, I'm going to swap out for 1,000 today anyway. So you want to see more test demonstrations? We have them on the website under demonstration test. You can see the rest of the tests. If you want more answers and you go to our shopping carts, you can actually go below our shopping carts and you can see our tests right there. We do not hide or delete any of our tests. And this is what great products should be doing. This is what you should be seeing when somebody turns that camera on. You have to see the difference between their product versus everyday paints and fabrics. Now, as I said before, for people who have these products, you can scream fake all day long. You're still going to have to do the test. Doesn't change a thing. Still got to do it. I'm going to have these demonstrations in my showroom. So, for a person at the end of the day that's supposed to be doing a lot of fake demonstrations, I do a heck of a lot of demonstrations back in my product when everybody else doesn't seem to be doing this. And my product's going to be in a showroom. So if this is all fake, why in the world would I walk into a showroom and display this for everybody to see? You guys can't do that because, again, your products will match. Can't even do basic house paint right now. Right now, we haven't seen any more test demonstrations done. None. I could do one of these every day for a month, and I guarantee you they won't do one for the entire month. I'll take that challenge. I'm doing it. I'm doing one of these every day for a month. I'm going to add one in here, and I can add it to my list. Matter of fact, I'm going to title it under that section, Black on Black Demonstration every day for a month. And I guarantee you, by the time I end at the end of the month, you won't see one demonstration on a gray versus gray. Not one. And the reason why you won't see it, because the product, again, is not tested. They don't know the outcome, what's going to happen. This is a demonstration that has to be done on live. So if you launch your product any proper testing, you don't know the outcome of what's going to happen if you go against another great paint. So that's why they can't do it. I've done it too many times to count. Oh, here's the manager in here watching already, the manager. Your tires went backwards, Tuckle. So we'll just mark the demonstrations. I'll start on the first because I want to fresh them up. We'll mark the demonstrations every day, black versus black, for 1 month, and we'll mark it with a day. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. So any demonstration I do, I have to do that demonstration. Now, how many great products can do that? If you're making a black screen paint, can you do that? This is why the black versus black is an extremely important demonstration to do. If anyone's angry and bothered by this, then you shouldn't be selling your products to customers. For the customers, you need to request gray versus gray, and even from us, black versus black. I'm not saying only to them and not to us. Yes, us too. You got to ask questions today. You're buying stuff in the day. You're purchasing. When you buy stuff, you ask all those questions about this, that, and the other. Then you need to ask those questions. How do I know I can't go down to a hardware store and make this myself? How can I wonder if I get a bed sheet or a tablecloth or whatever, it won't do the same thing? Show me this. Show me all tests before the product was ever launched, because you do not want a product that they're just now testing. What's the difference between your product and a white screen? That's another big one, because again, some of you have white screens out there. How much of an improvement are you going to get? You do not want to be matching this thing. Now, I showed you the demonstration with the white screen and white paper. All matches the same thing. Nothing different. I know we call this the black versus black demonstration, but I don't like to talk about something and not back it up. You know how it works. So we threw that white surface up there. So that's how much of a difference you're going to have to be to show. Watch this. Green screen. That's what you're going to have to pull from a black screen. And you have to do it at 1,000 lumens at 16 feet. The reason why I like 1,000 lumens to do the demonstration, because there's barely nothing on 1,000 lumens. By the time it reaches from A to B, there's nothing left of it. That screen's literally going to generate enough high enough white light to overpower the black surface, but be able to produce a much better color than the white surface at the same time. We got a ton of these on the demonstrations on the website. We're done with the black. We're just throwing some extra stuff in for fun. I'm good. There we go. This is gunmetal gray, as you can see. This is the gunmetal technology. Things are pretty good. So we got to see gunmetal. And that's a white screen over there, right? Okay. There you go. So now that screen's generating a high enough white level to turn the gunmetal, which you saw right there, which means any gray screen. I don't care if you're certified, I don't care if you're non-certified, I don't care. If you're gray and I stick you against this technology, we can turn you into a white surface. Now again, for those of you trying to do demonstrations saying, oh, this is how this product works, you need to have my product, buy my product, and then make those accusations. Because you can't do it on standalone, it doesn't work. Our product doesn't match. Doesn't match fabric, doesn't match house paint, doesn't match high performance gunmetal, and it doesn't even match a white surface. Now I'm curious if you see a gray screen do this, they're going to match the gray surface, they're definitely going to match the gray paint. Gunmetal is going to beat the daylights out of them, and they're going to blend into the white surface, I bet you. Red screen. Purple screen.
Remember college?
Oh, wait, because of that purple right here, don't we? There we go. Now also too, for those people who try to do this demonstration on a standalone, you can't do color comparisons on a standalone. You have to have something there to compare it to on which one's going to pull the better color. Can't do it on a standalone. Nobody knows. How are you going to know which one's better? There's nothing there to compare it to. Like somebody buying speakers and you say, hey, they sound just like the so-and-so and so. How do you know? Have you compared them? How do you even know? You have to have something to compare it to. white screen. Now we do our test demonstrations. What we do is we take a white surface and put it on the screen. We take black paint, black fabric, we put that against the screen. We need for our white levels to show up a certain way. There's a tone in white levels that have to be the display. If the white levels are too high, that means color and contrast will fail. If contrast is, well, basically it has to be 100% black in order for it to work. But for the heightener technology, for it to be the activate, we don't want to end up like this or this. That's what we don't want. So that's why we show demonstrations with all these certified screens or white screens, wherever it may be. And we ask for white levels and they come up with that kind of grayish look. The first thing people say, oh, that's your screen's pulling to a lower white level. No, it's actually pulling a perfect tone. Because a white screen literally pulls a white level and they don't pick up jack. They don't pick up contrast, color, don't know ambient light rejection. We're actually one of the cheapest screens you could buy is a white screen. So if you're saying that the white screen pulls the best levels, then that means that the most expensive screen would have been white, not gunmetal. Even a gunmetal screen, white levels are going to drop. Even a gray screen, gunmetal is going to drop. The only screen that has the ability to pull 100% white is actually white. Just like the only screen that has the ability to pull 100% black is an actual black surface. But the problem is with the black surfaces, can it accept and read white light? Red screen. So when we switch over to colors, what happens? The surface is oversaturated with contrast levels because it can't read white light, therefore it comes up dirty. And the white surface can't produce enough contrast, and therefore it washes out. Same thing with the gunmetal. This is why, when I state this on my website, I can come in here, do a presentation, and back it up. Another reason why I say you can't put things on your website that you can't back up. Like the whole thing about the whole container of product, you know who already, but we're going to mention anyway, saying that it needs water in it to keep the product from evaporating. Well, if someone decides, not only me, if somebody decides to test that theory and goes, I'm going to drain the can, and let's see if a couple of days, if it turns into powder, or if it's not there. Now you got to pull the product and do it all over again with something different because you made a theory that is not really real. Now, making a theory at the end of the day by stating that if you paint the screen a certain way, you don't want to people out there buying game guns. There's a game gun that you can pick up that will actually measure how much light is pulling off your screen. I wonder what a game gun would pull off our screen with the sun killer technology. That'd be kind of interesting because it'd be kind of hard for it to function because literally it's outside. And on top of that, it's dealing with direct sunlight. That would be interesting to see how it would act up. We know meters don't work out there. They don't even register. Nothing will pick up out there when we're working with that stuff. Let's go over to blue. There we go. Now again, can't express this. We call it carrying cry when they start saying, excuse me, apologies for that one. When they come up and they say, oh, it must be the ISO. Well, if you figure you can do it better, then go ahead, do it better. Show me the demonstration live, which again, you cannot do. I'm not talking about one person, they cannot do, due to the fact that their product was never tested. And we did hunt for tests and couldn't find anything. Can't really do demonstrations if you haven't tested the product because you don't know what the outcome is going to bring. We already saw that happen to someone already. They didn't know the outcome, and the outcome was bad. 4K, beautiful women. There you go, Mike. Well, see what that looks like on there. Take these off. Excuse me? You're not supposed to be in here anyway. You know that, right? Literally, you're not supposed to be in here. Come on, come on, come on, come on. You're doing too much. You're doing too much. Go out there. You're doing too much. All right. There's my gunmetal surface right there. See how dark it is? That has that reflective surface. Go back to this. Show off our skin tones. So, if you were one of those individuals who basically painted that gray nonsense on your wall, well, you can't see a contrast over for Jack because, again, it's gray. It doesn't pick up 100% contrast, and it won't lift. And we stick that against our screen, it's going to turn into a white sheet of paper like that gunmetal over here. So that's what's going to happen to that. If you did decide to make it darker and make it almost like the black, so your rollers come up black and make it a black product, you can't receive white light, and therefore you came up with a dirty image. Those of you who chose to use the fabric route, well, yeah, that's where you just ended up at. Keep in mind, without our real technology there to do the comparison, basically you can't see exactly what you're really getting. I can take that surface right now, put it in a different direction, hit it with a projector, and it will look okay. And I stick it against my product and it'll look like trash. Just like if I take a certified screen and I show it independently by itself, it looks fantastic. I put it against my screen, you'll see a big difference between mine and the certified. We literally made a product online, literally made one. I gotta get these orders ready to go. We're gonna put this on the instant like this. Now, for getting the most out of your projector and real technology at the end of the day that has been properly tested before the product was shipped out, our products are available on our website with free worldwide shipping. I am happy he did the demonstration, I really am. Because now that gives us even more bragging rights to say that we literally watched someone try to make our product and fail miserably, and we literally had to go in and help them do it. And it still failed. It is what it is. You can't get mad over that. It is what it is. What are you going to get upset about? He tried, he failed. If people are going to try to make my product, at least make it black. Anything else to put against this protocol? Yeah, the same one to put up here. Huh, interesting. Hey, look at that. We do the same thing with fabric. We do that already. We do all these tests already. We're going to call it black versus black test. We started all this. So those of you that are in the future of making black screen paints at the end of the day, we did. We put the bar up pretty high. And it should be pretty high. Because that means you'll have to work twice as hard to make a good product. And that way the customer doesn't get cheated in the long run. That's why we raised the bar so high. That means you actually have to work for it. None of that getting on camera, putting a bunch of dumb stuff in specifications and lies and all that stuff. None of that nonsense. You have to really test your products. And all test demonstrations need to be required to be live. Shouldn't be afraid of a test. A test is a good thing. And the reason why it's a good thing, it allows you to be able to fix problems that could later on pop up in your products. I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to test. That's very important. You don't want stuff to be popping up after you sold the product. That's the last thing you want. And you know, turn around and have something like mass recalls and all kinds of problems, and you don't want that. Why wouldn't you want to test your products? You see the result. What happens when you don't test products? That individual went on there, did that demonstration, matched those products. Bad situation to be in. If he had tested his products against all different forms of gray paints, he would have realized he was matching these. And maybe he could have done something to change the product so it didn't match. But still, you still have more testing to go after that. Much, much more testing. Y'all don't even have enough projectors for testing. Really don't. I think I'm going to do a swap out for 1,000. I'm kind of bored with 4,000. We've done that already. We do the 4,000 because people think when we do these demonstrations that if you get a high enough lumen projector, maybe that'll pull the white light out of the screen. No, it won't. It won't work at all, period. That's why we use the 4,000 lumens. And we have demonstrations at 1,000 to show you that we don't require the big boys to pull white light from our screens, which I'm going to do in a few minutes. Yeah, the next demonstration. Gotta go. God bless.